Hi, thanks for joining us today. I am Lieutenant Jennifer Wenzel, and I'm with the Dearborn Fire Department. I'm one of the fire inspectors here with the department, and we're going to talk a little bit about holiday safety and what are some thoughts that we're having around this time of year. So what are some of the things we can do around our holidays to be a little bit safer in our home?
In your decorating, make sure that if you do have a fireplace, make sure that that area is safe and secured and you don't have any decorations hanging over the fireplace where it could catch on fire. Having smoke detectors in each of the room and in the hallways is very important. Also making sure that you have a certified fire extinguisher available. You can have one in the kitchen, you can have one in the living room, but most importantly you want to have one in the kitchen as well too.
Every year there's about 160 homes that catch fire due to a Christmas tree. Now that can be because it was also decorating too close, right? We have too many Christmas lights on that tree, right? We never want to put more than 3 strands linked together at any one time. Otherwise you overload the electricity and those little wires in there, they get too hot. And with that tree being possibly a live tree or even our plastic trees, they can go up in flames. Now what's so scary about tree fires is they tend to be more deadly than any other house fire, right? They are at the top of how fast they really burn and how quick. You have about 25 seconds for that tree to be completely engulfed in a home, which then tends to make those homes not survivable, which is pretty scary. Let's get into why you and I are sitting here talking today, right?
All right.
We are pretty concerned about the mental health, right, aspect of the holidays. This can be a very hard time for a lot of our individuals,
Yes.
right? We have a tremendous amount of feelings that happen around this time of the year, and unfortunately, we see the brunt of that, right? We see the bad days that these folks have, some of the loneliness and some of the issues that we're worrying about. So what do you think some of the things we can do as good community members or citizens or neighbors that we can do for our folks during this time of year to kind of keep an eye on each other?
Making sure that they're keeping up with themselves. If you notice that maybe they're sleeping more during the day than usual, or they just don't look like they're taking care of themselves, poor hygiene. If they're normally outside doing housework, doesn't matter if it's snowing or what, if they're outside just doing stuff, you notice that they haven't been outside for a while, go ahead and go over there and check on them to make sure that they're doing okay.
So if you're at the point where you notice a sudden change in behavior from your neighbor or maybe a family member, right? What are some of the things that we can do, and what kind of timeline and who's responsible at this point, right? Sometimes I think we fear about we step into somebody's life and we don't want to be overbearing and we don't want to feel that we are pushing our way into people's lives. But like, how do we, just check in? But what do we do if we do notice those things, right? Do we just call 911 right away if we notice that our neighbor just hasn't been outside in 2 days? Or do we, how do we go out and manage to handle that if you do think someone might be having some depression? What are some of the things we can do?
I think the biggest thing is to go over and talk to them, whether it's a neighbor or family member. I think in person is very important.
Yeah.
Because that gives that person a contact with somebody.
Yeah.
If it's your neighbor and they don't have family that's coming in, you just walk over there and talk with them. You may be able to sit down, have a cup of coffee with them. Ask them if they need help with anything. If you feel that they maybe need help picking up stuff around the house, or they need food and they haven't been able to go get food, offer them to go buy some food for them.
Yeah.
And just kind of get a sense on how they're feeling. If it's something to where you go over and you spend a little time with them and that picks them up, still keep an eye on them, but that's going to do a lot more good for that person than like calling them on the phone or texting them or something like that. Yeah. Same with the family member as well too. You may have a family member that lives maybe an hour away, and you normally talk to them on the phone, and you haven't heard from them in about a day or two. If you have time, go over there and talk to them. That'd probably really brighten up their day.
Yeah.
But I think it's important in-person contact. It to me is important. Now, obviously, if they live a state away and you haven't heard from them, a phone call is going to be able to help them out as well too. But just contact with the people.
Yeah.
Just check on them and see how they're doing.
Even this time of year, right? We can still make contact and maybe stand on the front porch and have coffee, right? Bundle up, know
Yes.
that you're going to stay outside to be safe, but like still a way to check on our folks, right? That they're going to be okay.
Absolutely, especially if they're the elderly. During the wintertime, it may be a little bit harder for them to get outside and do stuff. Just helping them out, it brightens up their day.
Yeah. So say you're over and you're checking on your neighbor and they're doing okay, and then one day you go over or you talk to your family member, whoever we're talking to, and you notice that they are in a full crisis situation, right? They are seeming very uncharacteristic of themselves. They are very stressed out. What are some ways we can handle that as untrained professionals, right? As untrained people, what are we supposed to do if I run into that situation?
Well, the biggest thing is definitely try to keep calm. I know it might be a difficult situation where you could be in, and like you said, we're lay people, they're not trained to deal with a situation like that, but it's very important to stay calm.
Okay.
And to talk to the person, really ask them what's going on.
Okay.
If they feel that they need help, or if they admit to you that I don't want to do this anymore, I can't do this anymore, and if they even talk suicide, then that's going to get to the point where we need to get medical help involved. There's several options. There's a suicide hotline,
Right.
that is out there. You could help them call. There's also calling 911. The police and fire will show up. A lot of times they'll be able to help them, get them the help that they need, take them to the hospital. They can get some help right there. But it's just important to make sure that that you do your best to get the help, but also just realize that you're not trained for it, but just staying calm and just trying to help that person at that particular time is extremely important. Show them that you truly care.
Yeah. So just listening to that person, I think, would be really helpful. Sometimes just feeling heard for the day. I know I feel a lot better if I can just maybe air some grievances, and then, you can feel better because you felt heard for the day. Right?
Exactly.
And being seen, I think, is really important, especially for our elderly folks that are alone, and just being seen for the day can really make us feel more human and make us feel a little bit better and less alone.
Exactly, and it may be that the patient just needs to vent. They just
Right.
need to yell and scream and do whatever, and
Yeah.
afterwards they take a deep breath and say, "Oh, I feel a lot better."
Right. Now, if you notice, if they're wanting to scream and like they're starting to come after you, right? What should we do?
Well, that's definitely something that then you need to back out of the situation, get out of the house,
Yep.
and I would recommend that you call 911.
Yes. Now, if you feel threatened, you definitely want to back out of the house, get out of there, and then call 911.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because not only for your safety, but it's also for their safety as well, too.
Absolutely. Right, which is our utmost important, is that we're keeping everyone safe here.
Absolutely.
So, well, Matt, thanks for talking today a little bit about our holiday safety that we want to express out to the public, right, with Dearborn Fire and Police, that we want you to have a great time this holiday season. Be safe, but also let's start checking in on our folks and making sure that everybody has a good holiday, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today. And I hope you guys have a great day, and thanks for joining us.